Hello everyone, Scott here from Pillow Partners with this week's edition of the Pillow Talk podcast, where I bring you two things every single week, an amazing interview and some fantastic shoes and socks combos. I mention this because everybody always asks me of what shoes I'm wearing and what socks, but that comes secondary to today's guest. I'm really excited about this one, guys, because I have Helen Tudor here. I saw her on stage. We'll talk a little bit about this. I won't butcher her introduction, but I was blown away with her knowledge and expertise. I definitely took things away when I saw her on stage. So I really needed to get on the podcast. I'm going to hand over to Helen. Just a nice quick 60 seconds summary of yourself and your business.
Thanks, Scott. Someone actually messaged me and said, actually lunch with somebody, Libby Langley, and she was like, how do you know Scott Weir? And I was like, Scott and I are like new best friends. So I'm Helen Tudor, formerly known as Helen Pritchard. I help people get leads from LinkedIn, but without any of the bullshit that other people seem to think is really important on LinkedIn. So I show you how to get leads from LinkedIn by putting the minimum effort in, getting the maximum return out, without sending any DMs, without spending all day on there, just doing the very simple 3 things a day strategy. And weirdly, that's kind of become the thing. So I've been doing that for the last 6 years. It's as much a surprise as me as it is to anyone else that I've got 2,000 paying clients who've learned this stuff from me. So it's been a mad roller coaster experience in entrepreneurship, particularly online entrepreneurship in the last 5 to 6 years. So yeah, it's been wild.
Fantastic. And we will cover those 3 things because I remember hearing you do it on stage, and I do them every day. Maybe not a Sunday, but I do 2 of them on a Sunday. But yes, I do those 3 things, guys. I can 100% tell you it is worth it. And we'll come to that in a little second. But your business, I saw you at the Entrepreneurs Marketing Conference this year. One of the guest speakers, the team that helped set all this up were down with me, and we were all in agreement that it was the best talk of the day for us, because I took my social media team down to Brighton. It was all our first time in Brighton, so a big glorious adventure coming from Glasgow.
All the way down.
We got to see you speak all about LinkedIn. So obviously I know who you are, but you've got various things that you do. You're helping clients in a one-to-one. You run masterminds, individual products. Run us through what you do on LinkedIn briefly.
Yeah, so my main business is teaching entrepreneurs. So teaching entrepreneurs how to raise their personal profile on LinkedIn to become the go-to person for their thing, and have people, usually clients, but sometimes customers, reaching out to them. So that's kind of the main thing that I teach. I've got the LinkedIn and Business Mastermind. So that teaches my LinkedIn strategy, but also teaches everything I've done to go from absolutely zero, or probably less than zero, nobody knowing me, nobody caring about me, nobody buying from me, right through to 3 million in revenue over the last 5 or 6 years with an online, selling my knowledge online, right? It was something that I kind of wanted to do, but I didn't know how. So what I've done inside my mastermind now is that not only do I teach people the LinkedIn stuff, how to get clients on LinkedIn, but I also teach the step-by-step stuff that I did to go from naught to selling out like the program over and over again, which is pretty cool, because all of my stuff's all about not spending any money, really. I mean, I've spent on Facebook ads over the years, but ultimately I believe everybody can go and get a really nice business organically from social media generally, not just LinkedIn. So the LinkedIn Business Mastermind is like my flagship thing. That's what everyone buys first, if that makes sense. And then after that, really, I do strategy days. So people in-person days. I do training. So maybe, I know we're talking at the moment about me coming up to Glasgow, maybe doing a workshop style day where people can go. Because I think for me, I have done a lot of one-to-one, but for 2024, I'm not doing any more one-to-one. I'm just doing either in-person one-to-one days, like a VIP day, or in-person LinkedIn strategy days for a small group of people, because I just think sometimes just getting it done is really powerful, and getting your headline and profile set up, then knowing the 3 things to do every day and just getting on with it and doing it. And I think you probably saw that with the talk, right? Everyone else, I was there for all 3 days, just like crying because I was so nervous. But I was the only person who did any Q&A, really. It was kind of I wanted people to take action and start doing something with the stuff I was telling them. And I think that's the message really, is that I want people to just take my advice today and go and implement it today and go and be rich.
Cool. You know, when you go to conferences and somebody says, well, just to let you know, I'm not a trained speaker. You know they're going to be good speakers, because anybody that says, I'm not a trained speaker, they end up being the best speaker of the day.
I'm definitely not a trained speaker. I'm not a public speaker of any kind, shape or form. I was absolutely nervous, right? I was vile to my husband for like 3 days in the run up to it. And like, it was just horrible. That was my biggest talk I've ever done. And I'll never do anything like that again, because it was just horrible.
Yes, you will. You're on the Pillow Talk podcast. That's 10 times the size of that 1,000 strong.
Honestly, if I was talking to 1 million people right now, I'd be absolutely buzzing and fine. But put me in front of like 100 people and I go to pieces. So yeah, it's not my thing.
Cool. Now you mentioned Libby, and Libby was on. This was when we started this years ago. It was the LinkedIn Lives, we used to call them, and they've expanded. But Libby was talking about social media in general, and there used to be LinkedIn Live. So I really love LinkedIn. When you see everything about being influencing, building profile, if you go to Facebook and Instagram, you see a lot of bullshit and people get away with it. But on Instagram and LinkedIn, I like it because you get called out for any nonsense, really. It is all business stuff. So I love LinkedIn as a business platform, and it strips away a lot of the shit you see that's not lies, but certain persona building on Facebook. What made you go down to LinkedIn rather than the traditional things like Instagram and Facebook, which would be bigger and probably easier to make money out of at the time?
I just wanted the cash. Like, I was absolutely desperate when I first went to LinkedIn. I was about 90 grand in debt. I wasn't able to feed my kids and put petrol in my car. And I was just like, oh my God, this is awful. I've got to do something. And I wanted to get clients. I wanted to start a social media business. I wanted to get clients. Mm-hmm. So I just thought, well, I was using Facebook and Twitter myself for my own business, and I wanted to teach, I wanted to do that for other people as like a done for you service. So when I looked at LinkedIn, I actually found LinkedIn by Googling networking, business networking online, because I couldn't afford to go to real networking. It's like 15 quid. Couldn't afford that. It was ridiculous. That was like packed lunches for the week and £5 in petrol. And you're like filling it up and watching the thing, like clicking up. Yep. I couldn't face it. So I had really, really bad mental health problems, like at that sort of time in my life. About 15 years ago. And the thought of standing up and talking in front of people, even a small group of people, like, was just like out of the question. And I couldn't get to anything because I had 3 little kids. No, I didn't. I had 2 little kids, like under 5. And a lot of the networking was, made by men, started at like 6 a.m. and it was just what yep. Couldn't do it. So I really found LinkedIn because I was looking for clients. And when it said like business networking, I thought, oh, this makes sense. So I used LinkedIn like a website. I was like, okay, so I can create a landing page on my personal profile, headline and profile, and then I can just ask to connect with people who want to look at it, drive traffic, and then I can put stuff out for those people. So it wasn't like I thought strategically LinkedIn's a good place for me. I just thought it was just like, oh, that's where potential clients will be, and that's where I want people to come and look for me. I wasn't interested, and I'm still not particularly interested in the aesthetics.
Yep.
So like something like Instagram is not right for me because I'm so lazy and I'm so scrappy and I'm not particularly creative. I just wanted somewhere where I could just get clients and make money. Yep. I wasn't interested in I did use Facebook and Twitter. They were my 2 kind of go-to initially. But that was more for B2C stuff because I had a reflexology business. I used to get clients on there. But I just thought, this is where all the money is. This is where the grown-ups hang out. This is where people do business. Like, let's go here. Let's go and hang out here. And I still say that now. A lot of people say to me, oh, my ideal client aren't LinkedIn. And I absolutely say bullshit. They are. Yeah. And even if you sell B2C, they're on there. So if you sell like transformation, I always say, like, if you sell transformation of any kind, like maybe it's like lose 10 pounds or like leave your husband or decide to start a business or get your dog groomed or whatever, right? Buy an amazing pair of shoes. People on LinkedIn are desperate for transformation because most people on LinkedIn, the majority of people on LinkedIn are really sad and bored and hate their lives. So it's a really good, strong place to sell transformation, whether you help people make more money, feel better, look better, just change their lives. Because I'd say a lot of people on LinkedIn are sat there on LinkedIn for work, thinking, is this it? Is
Yep.
this my life now? So it's a good place to sell transformation.
Interesting. I have never looked at it like that before. I definitely agree 100% on all the other things. Business, people, it's serious. It's doing things to get things rather than look good. And I don't think people on LinkedIn, and if they are trying to do things to show off and look good, nobody really cares because they're there to build their own business. So I agree with that. Yeah.
LinkedIn's got its fair share of dickheads like anywhere else, And I would say just go on and be yourself on there. Don't worry about what other people will say, do or think. Just do what you want to do on there. But I do think people are missing a huge trick when it comes to B2C and selling to individuals on LinkedIn and also local businesses. Massively. Like if I had to tell a sandwich shop near me one more time, like get yourself on LinkedIn. I'm like, why would LinkedIn help? And I was like, all the people who live near you who want to eat sandwiches. And it's like, and they were kind of like, oh, I never thought of it like that. So yeah, part of my mission is to make people realize that LinkedIn's for all businesses, local, B2B, B2C, high ticket, low ticket, introvert, extrovert, it's for everyone.
And the thing, and I'll draw on experience I've had in the last few months from our team, our franchisees. So we manage holiday homes across the UK and have a franchisee in each area. And when we do the onboarding and we say, right, here's how to build your expert profile, I want those guys to be the expert in the area, be seen for the person that gets tagged in and everything. If people ask you in the various networks, who's the go-to person for LinkedIn? People would tag you. Well, I want that for our team. And if I say you need to be on Facebook forums, Facebook groups, that they're happy to do it. As soon as I mention LinkedIn, you think I am asking them to jump on a stage and speak naked in front of thousands of people. It's quite terrifying, but there's nothing to be scared of for LinkedIn if people aren't on the platform versus Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
I mean, I did a lot of work with Mark Simpson and we did a whole special webinar for his people around, people looking to get direct bookings for their properties. And it's kind of like, when you think about it, it makes sense, doesn't it? If you LinkedIn's the only place of all the social media platforms where you can search by area without paying for it. So you can just look for people who live in your area who have got a decent job, for example. And that we're guessing we'll know people and it's just the purest networking thing. Or people who might be booking for business. People who come into that area, people who work at companies that are near where your property is, right? So there's just thinking about it a little bit differently. Like LinkedIn's nothing to be scared of. It's not a kind of, a lot of people come to me who are sort of entrepreneurs who used to be in corporate and now they do something else. Let's say they were HR director and now they do hypnotherapy. They've been HR directors, they've burnt out, they've got all into health and wellness, they've retrained as a hypnotherapy NLP practitioner. And they say to me like, oh, this LinkedIn's not for me. That's like the old version of me. Like I want to be on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram where people hang out who've got problems that I can solve. And I was like, babe, you know what I mean? Like think about where you were when you were just about to burn out and you were desperately crying out for someone like you to come back. So I was like, go back on a rescue mission, go back and help these people because you can talk their language, you can talk about your story, your experience, and then all those people on there who just need your help, 950 million people. Someone said to me once, it's not for me. I was doing a training and you could see, when you do a live a Zoom training and half the people are like, oh, this is really interesting. They're like nodding. And the other half are like this, like checking their emails, And then more and more hostile. And at the end, I said, any questions? And she said, none of this works for me. None of this makes sense to me. I said, all right, what is that? She said, well, I make shoes. I said, right. She said, I'm a shoe designer and I make shoes. Okay. I said, my people aren't on LinkedIn. I was like, do you know there's 950 million people on LinkedIn and most of them have got 2 feet and buy shoes? Like, I was just like, how can you not see that opportunity? And the thing is, shoe designers are all on Instagram. They're all on there. Whereas if you got 100 shoe designers and asked them what they were doing on LinkedIn, they'd probably say, I've got a profile, but that's it. But instead, if you did like, here I am making shoes, here's my latest collection, this is where you can wear them, build an audience of high net worth individuals who are in your kind of target market. Let's say your shoes are £1,000 or whatever. We'll go for high net worth people who've got good jobs. That's the other thing we can do on LinkedIn is find people who've got good jobs and got money coming in, if nothing else, and show them what the behind the scenes of making shoes, then you'll be the only shoe designer they know that's on their LinkedIn showing up, and you'll sell shoes. And then she could tell, she was like, I wish I'd paid more attention.
You can send her a link to this episode and say all the high net worth shoe people always tune in to see Scott's shoes. So, you know, they're all watching this podcast. You mentioned Mark from Boosley. He said, this is cool. I don't know if he's referring to me. I'm going to assume it's you, Helen, and it's not me. So, Mark, we need to get Mark on the podcast next. He invited me on his lockdown. So, Mark is a great guy. I want to take it away from but LinkedIn and business for a second, because you mentioned some things I didn't know, right? So, guys, when I invited Helen onto the podcast, my experience was she was on stage, she was a superstar, got standing ovations, a natural speaker, a natural teacher, and gave me great advice that I have done every single day since, or every single working day. But you mentioned, and when you said multi-million pounds of net worth, I would get that. I see the success you're having, but you mentioned before you were who you are now, you weren't as happy, didn't have money to go to networking. I can empathise with that. Mental health issues. So there will be people watching this, and this podcast isn't to get, you know, the big multi-billion pound people on, the big names. This is for people hopefully inspiring young entrepreneurs, people going down a bad way in life, people that are just looking for normal other people to help them out. So I want to bring it back to that. If you could go back and tell yourself some advice, or anyone in similar circumstances, people that want to get into a business, maybe mums thinking, I can't because I've got kids, I'm stuck in a corporate job, I'm not smart enough, I don't have the creativity, I don't have the support network, because everybody always looks at people and says, yeah, I could have done it if I had what they had. But the truth is, as you know, the most successful people started from a really low point. So I'd love you to share some tips and advice to anybody where you were, or, you know, that might want to be where you are now.
Yeah, I think every time I tell my story, you know, so I was in the Priory when I was 16. So I was institutionalised into a mental hospital. A very fancy one, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like one of the Cuckoo's Nest. It was like Roy Keane had just been in there, just missed him. I was good. I'm a big Roy Keane fan. But like, you know, I was ill when I was a teenager. I was agoraphobic. I couldn't leave the house. I partied a lot in the 90s, and it all came crashing down. You know, I got married young and had a couple of kids, and that was my sum total of my ambition. But when we went into the 2008 crash, my husband at the time was a builder, and that all got took down, and, you know, marriage split up, and I was literally left 90 grand in debt. My uncle had to buy my house off me so I didn't get repossessed. And I just had that like moment where I just thought, I've had enough, you know. I really did. I was like, I've had enough of being broke. I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like to not be able to put petrol in the car. Like, I used to do reflexology and get like 20 quid, and then I go and put £5 in my car, 15 quid on food, and then that would be it till the next day. I mean, it's not a fun way to live. Definitely. So for me, and we had this in my group actually yesterday, we had a girl posted, and I won't name her because it's a private group, but she was like, I've just hit a wall. I've got 2 kids, and I've just been asked, my husband's just asked me to go to get some stuff from the shop, and I don't know if we can afford it. And I don't think I can afford to buy anything for Christmas.
Yeah. And
to me, it's like, they're my people. And even though I've had I've had a lot of success, I've had a lot of sort of high level coaching, and I've worked with a lot of people, and a lot of people say to me all the time, it's like, why are you always focusing on broke people? Because broke people are hard to get money out of, and it's hard work, and there's a reason why they're broke and everything. I'm just like, broke people are my people. Like, because if someone comes to me and is like, I can't feed my kids, I'm like, good, let's go. Like, you know, let's dig deep and let's get it done. And I think that's why it's important for me to keep telling the story, not because it's like a bullshit backstory X Factor thing, but more because, like, don't look at me and think, oh, you're on stage. Yeah, you're on stage at EMC, you've got a Rolex, you know, you've got a lovely husband and £1 million house and all the rest of it, and think that something magical happened to me. Because it isn't. I just hit the wall and I thought, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I grafted my way out of it. I absolutely ground it out. You know, any money to invest in anything. So everything I did was organic. So for example, did Facebook Live every day for well over a year. Just did a Facebook Live every single day. I've done, and I continue to do, hundreds and hundreds of guest experts, free training in other people's groups.
Yep.
Anyone who asks me, I say, yeah. I don't ask how many people are in it. I don't ask when people. I've done more guest experts to no people than I have to big rooms for people. People where nobody shows up. And I always show up like I'm getting paid £1 million and 1 million people are watching. Every time I get asked to speak, I say yes. And I don't charge for it because I want to get in front of more people.
Yep.
Like every time, I've been on LinkedIn every single day, even when things have been really, really, really tough, really, really tough. Like today, I've literally just dragged myself out of bed because I'm so rough. Because it's show business to me.
Yep.
It's like you just get up with it and do it. Like my friends say to me, like, how can you be like crying 1 minute with me on the phone, the next minute I see you like or live on LinkedIn or whatever, like, oh hi everybody, I'm just going to do a Q&A. And it's like, it's because it's my job. It's my job. And what my advice would be is every single day. So this is my actual advice. Sell one thing to one person at a time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't try to sell all the things. Just fix one problem for somebody, something that you know you can do. One of the biggest problems I see is people make these huge sort of claims that they can't back up themselves, particularly about money, right? If you're broke, don't try and teach people to make money. It's just not going to work, right? I teach how to get leads from LinkedIn. I don't teach people how to make money. So no matter what my cash flow is doing, I'm still getting leads from LinkedIn every day. So I can confidently teach this stuff. Yep. Keep it really simple. Sell one thing to one person at a time. Don't keep changing your mind. Don't keep changing your audience. And then every single day, get up, show up, and find ways to get in front of more people, to engage with more people, and to put out content for more people. Until you get to the point you can pay for ads. I've spent £250,000 on ads. So like I've significantly invested in ads and I've made over 3 million in revenue. But the first 2 years, I didn't have any money. So I just ground it out. And even now, I still work like I've got no ad budget. You know, I do my lives, I do my guest experts, I do podcasts, I show up. Because to me, someone said to me, like, how do you do it though, no matter what? So no matter what's going on in my life, I still show up. And I do not let my emotions dictate my activity. I just don't.
Yep.
And the reason someone said to me, how can you do it? How can you be so resilient and just keep showing up? It's like, 'cause I'm not prepared to be broke. Like, I'm prepared to be a bit fat. So that's why I don't consistently go to the gym. But I'm not prepared to be broke. So I consistently show up for my business, no matter what. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. So my advice would be is to never let your emotions dictate your activity and to just say, you know what, I'm going to show up every day no matter what. I'm going to take Helen's advice and I'm going to do my 3 things a day as an absolute minimum on LinkedIn. And that alone will get you business. I've never met somebody I can't help make $100,000 out of LinkedIn. Never in my whole entire life. I've met people who don't because they don't take the action. But people, if someone comes to me and say, I can't feed my kids, I'm like, great, let's go. This is what I want you to do. And I want you to push yourself so far out of your comfort zone that you're literally dragging yourself out of bed to go and do another post. I said to this girl, I said, right, I want you, this is your offer. I wrote an offer for her. I said, you're going to make $2,000 in the next 2 weeks. This is your offer. You're going to find 10 people to buy it at 197. You are going to post that offer in the morning before you get out of bed. You're going to post that offer across all your platforms. Every hour, I want you to set a reminder, and every hour you post that across all your platforms. So let's say you've got 10 hours in your working day. You've got 10 different places. You've got your LinkedIn, you've got your Facebook, you've got your stories, you've got your Instagram, you've got a reel. That's like, I'm looking at 100 places a day to post that offer out. And I want you to consistently be doing that. And when you go to bed at night, I want you to post the offer from your bed. And I want you to do that for the next 2 weeks. You'll make your money. You'll make your money. And that's as simple. And people are like, oh my God, there's no way you can show up that much. It's like, you definitely can.
Definitely. I love your quote, and there's a poster somewhere over there. I can't get it, or I get the team to give me it. It says, do what you should, not what you feel like. And that's exactly it. As entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders of organizations, because I've never ill, never had the flu or the cold or a sniffle in 20 years. People say, how can you? I'm like, I don't have the fucking luxury of taking a day off. The team can be off. The team can be ill and can be, I feel a bit under the weather. I don't have that luxury. And if you're trying to achieve something, if you've had things to start off with, then it's all right. But if you didn't have anything, you're coming from rock bottom. You know, there's a cold can't get in your way. And like I reached out to your team. I saw you saying, "Oh, you were a little bit ill today," and I thought, "Oh, I wonder if Helen will wonder if Helen's still up for this, and I get Grace to reach out, and you come on bright and breezy. I thought you were ill. And you said before we started, I would never cancel. I'm just not going to cancel doing lives.
Social stuff, yeah. I was supposed to be going out tonight with the neighbours, supposed to be doing the pub quiz. I've cancelled that, right? Because I've got a rest, yeah. I've got a rest. But Friday, I was supposed to go into an influencer night at a bar, which I wasn't that bothered about going. You know what I mean? So I've like cancelled that. So yeah, I do cancel things if I have to socially for my own health. I'm training for a brown belt at the moment, kickboxing. So my priority is number one, work. Well, number one is my family. Number two is work. Number three is my fitness. Number four is my health, my resting, right? So like social things I would cancel, but business things, absolutely no way. Just wouldn't. Unless I'm really, really like there's an absolute something I cannot get out of. And I just feel like it's I don't know, it's a discipline, isn't it? And I'm not disciplined in any area of my life, but in my business I am, and the results speak for themselves. I mean, I did a talk the other week in Manchester, and this girl said, I saw one of your lives and I loved it, and I was really consistent. I was posting consistently on LinkedIn, and then I just got really overwhelmed and stopped. And I said, you can get really overwhelmed and still post on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I never really thought of it like that. Like, people just use their emotions as an excuse. And I blame this anti-hustle culture, definitely. People are like, oh no, you need to take time out, self-care, have a bath in the day. I'm like, a fucking bath. Sit down in the day.
Baths for the day.
And I get it. It's kind of like, oh, look at us. And you can do that. Like, my business works without me. Like, I only really, in the mastermind, I do one call a month. So that, that call, I obviously have to be there. And I'm present in the group and answer questions, and I run my team, right? So, but in terms of delivery, that business, it's only a couple of hours a month. Doesn't mean that I then say, well, you know what? I'm just going to lie about and do nothing for the rest of the time, because it's like, I'm 44. I want to be in a different place when I'm 50.
34. Did you say 34 there?
44.
34. 44.
Oh, I know.
The filter on.
Yeah, well, this is it. I've got a very good camera. But like, I want to be, when I'm 50, I want to be lying about and on the beach and having a bath in the day. I love that. But right now I'm 44. I want to get my black belt in kickboxing. I want to make millions of pounds. I want to have impact millions of people. And then I can kind of rest when I'm 50.
Fantastic. Guys, we were going to coming up to the last couple of questions from me if you're watching live. What we do, anybody that shares this podcast, comments and has some meaningful questions, we will be giving them a lovely pillow gift bag. We'll be sending that in the post to anybody that shares, comments. We'll pick one randomly. So any questions, pop them in. Hopefully the team will forward them on and I will put them in. We've hardly touched TikTok because it's getting quite emotional and deep, and I quite like that rather than business. A final tip, what's a trend on TikTok? Not TikTok. What's a trend on LinkedIn? Something that's like we should all be aware of.
So normally I'd say I'm not interested in trends on LinkedIn. I'm interested in doing the basics, and the basics are know your ideal client, have a headline and profile that speaks to them and not about you, because no one cares about you, right? Speaks to them, about you, about them and what's going on in their lives. Headline and profile talks to them. And then do the 3 things a day, every day. Yeah. So add people every day, engage with people every day, and put out content every day. However, there is something on LinkedIn. There's 2 things that actually are sort of trendy on LinkedIn at the moment, which I am thrilled with, and I love them dearly. Right. So nice. The first thing is polls on LinkedIn. Now, we've had them for ages, but polls on LinkedIn, I think, is like, I have like 4 pillars of content: stories, video, social proof, and call to action. And I always feel like the fifth Beatle, like the 5th pillar of content for me is polls. So what I always advise is you do at least 1 poll, if not more, a week, and then follow it up. So it could be so for example, for me, I could say something like, would you be, so let's say a really basic one. Would you be interested in joining my LinkedIn and business mastermind for 1997? Yes, please. No thanks. It sounds rubbish, right? And anyone who says yes, please, we like follow them up with the link. Sounds really obvious. Or you could be like, would you be interested if you were going to really work on your LinkedIn in 2024? How would you best learn? 1, in a group program. 2, in a one-to-one strategy day. 3, in a small group in-person event. All 3 of those things that I do, right? So anyone who votes on one of those, follow them up, right? So it's kind of like, I don't send DMs. on LinkedIn unless they've voted on my poll. And the other thing you can do with polls is show what you're about. So I'm really into football. So like my family's massive into football. My husband's a coach, my stepson plays. We've got Liverpool, we've got Everton, and we've got Man United all under one roof. So football's huge in our house. Like, so quite often I'll do polls at the weekend around football. And just to sort of demonstrate and get a bit of engagement, but it is relevant. It's not like pineapple on pizza. It's like me talking about something that's important to me. So, and then you can also do things like research with polls. So if I was going to do say who would you like to see on the next podcast and give 3 names, and then when people vote, you can follow them up and say, oh, we've got that person's coming up in a couple of weeks. Like I'll send you the link. So that's what you can do. So just for Emma, what happens when you poll as tumbleweed is we keep putting out polls. But if you want a poll that's got a lot of reactions, then just pick something very topical. So like, do you think Boris Johnson's a complete liar in the COVID inquiry? Yes, no, or whatever. Or like, do you think Nigel Farage should be in the jungle? Yes, no. Or do you love Harry and Meghan or whatever? So if that's what you're bothered about, then you can pick things that are topical. But it's sneaking in those little lead gen ones that I always teach my clients to do. It's like just dropping in one that showcases who you are and what you do, and then following it up. A really good way is saying, we're thinking about doing this event, and then give 3 different maybe ideas for it. And then when people click on it, say, oh, we're doing that event now, and here's the details. I really like polls at the moment. And the 2 other things that I like are, one is LinkedIn Live events that I know a lot of people have seen LinkedIn Lives, but does everyone know that you can invite 1,000 people a week to them? So you can set up your LinkedIn event. Yeah, so set up a LinkedIn event. So, for example, I did one recently, which was LinkedIn for accountants and bookkeepers. Yeah. So it was a niche-specific LinkedIn training for accountants and bookkeepers. I was selling them the same program everyone else goes into, but that was the thing. And then LinkedIn allows you to search by sector. So I was allowed to search by accounting and just invite all the accounting and bookkeeper people that are in my audience. I thought that was really clever.
It happens. There's Emma from LinkedIn that is an accountant, so she is your target market. So you can answer that question next. Sorry to interrupt you, but Emma, maybe your connection rather than mine. But
exactly. So advice when it comes to niching is the more you niche, the easier it is to get clients, and the more you can charge. So the more specific you can be. So a lot of people think the more you niche, the less attractive you become. But what you need to think about, so say as an accountant, you decided to focus on, for now, not forever, but let's say we're going to focus on a dentist. I'm just picking out something. What that means is that when you have a headline that talks about that, so helping dentists, blah, 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 then you're only going to ask to connect with dentists. You're going to get a lot more resonance. People are much more likely to want to talk to you, much more likely to pay you a premium because you're a generalist rather than a specialist. It's just a really easy way to stand out. One way to niche in accounting, Emma's quite interested in your messages. And we've got a student in my program called Rebecca. I can't remember her surname off the top of my head, but if you DM me, I'll remember. I'm not very well in perimenopausal, so my brain's a bit of a sieve. But she's an accountant, but she also rides massive motorbikes. So what I got her to do is to talk loads more about the motorbike side of things and the fact she's an accountant. So she kind of becomes a niche. Like when you combine what you do with your weird hobby, doesn't have to be weird, like mine's kickboxing, but like your kind of weird hobby, like Scott's is his shoes and his socks, right? So you pick your thing and you cross it, if you like, with your weird hobby or feature or thing that you're famous for. You become a niche of one and much more memorable. So I asked Rebecca, since she started to talk more about her motorbikes, has that helped to get more clients? And of the clients that she's got, are they all motorbiker people? And she said, yeah. So they're all business owners who ride motorbikes, but they want her to do their accounts because they've got that kind of thing in common. So that's another way you can niche. But honestly, niching and being more specific is the one thing over the years I've had the most resistance to. But it's the one thing that once I can get people over that resistance and realize it's not forever, it's just for now, maybe just the next 6 months or so, just to be a bit more specific, they really see a big difference in that.
Nice. Well, Emma's also commenting that she missed that one. Connect, maybe you have a replay or whatever. So you guys connect. What I'll do, as always, we'll put in all the contact details after this. And I want to, because you've taken your time here, especially when you've been under the weather, I like to finish all these by asking if people are here online looking, what is your ideal client? Because when we do these, it's a bit of conversation, giving value to the audience, but I want to give back to the person given their time. So if you could get clients out of this, we love supporting. You're not so much a small business, but taking the money off the big tech giants and all these big billionaires, giving them to normal people. I always want every podcast person coming to get business out of this. So what would your ideal client be if you were looking to the audience today that could use your services?
So for me, an entrepreneur who truly is an entrepreneur, right? And the reason why I say that is because to join my program, to join in the LinkedIn Mastermind Business Mastermind program, it's a lifelong community that you join. So ideal for me is somebody who wants to come and be a part of something. Yeah, they want to get leads from LinkedIn. Yeah, they want to get really good with their niching, with their pricing strategy. They want to get more confident with putting themselves out visibly. So all that stuff. But my program is not about just the training. It's about the community. So we've got 2,000 people in the community. My target is to grow it by another 2,000 in 2024. So really what I'm looking for is business owners who want to make more money on LinkedIn, yes, but people who actually want to throw themselves into the community and just be a part of an entrepreneurial world that is really making a difference. Like as a, it's really funny, isn't it? Because I don't have a big company, but I have a big community. So we've got this kind of culture within the community. So people who want to come and join it and be a part of it for forever are my people, really.
Perfect. Listen, I will finish there. We've chatted. I've got lots of this. It was deeper and more emotional than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a bit LinkedIn tips and strategies. Guys, if you
get all that for free from me anyway. Yeah. So I just think it's nicer to talk about the deeper
100%. Consistency, I think, is a big thing here. People starting off, Helen, will have 0 followers of 100, and they're competing against, I don't know. I mean, I often think we live in a simulation. It can't be real life where a woman twerking gets billions of views, and you know all the things that matter in life do not get views, and all the nonsense in life get virality. So consistency is key, and you can come. You do not need to have a silver spoon. You can come from the worst place in your whole life and build it up. Is another key theme here.
And you can just start now. This is the thing with LinkedIn. You can just literally start now. Like, I know we've not got really into the tactics, but if you find me, follow me. I've got a free group. All my training I do is free. Everything I do is free. There's not some like knowledge gap I'm trying to create so you buy my program. I want you to buy my program because you want to be in the community and you want to have me on hand and you want to be part of something. The actual tactics I give away for free. Every training I do, every guest expert, I've got tons of free webinars that you can watch. It's every time I get on stage, it's all about giving you the tactics. It is just about doing those 3 things a day. People just think it's more complicated than it is, and it's definitely not. So you can literally start today and start getting traction on LinkedIn. And I mean, I got 40,000 followers or whatever you want to call it, but I just got them one at a time, just like anyone else. And things like that don't impress me, and they shouldn't impress other people. That's just from being really consistent and showing up. What impresses me is when people message me on LinkedIn and say, like they did yesterday, and say, I want to buy your program, you know, and they give me £2,000. I'm like, this is great because I've not had to pay for any of these leads and inquiries. And it's the same for you guys. Anyone else who's watching this, you just create your offer, redo your headline and profile, start adding those people, start putting content out, start engaging with those people. Like it literally can happen overnight.
Fantastic. Listen, I think this has been amazing. I'm going to share this with my team. I wrote some stuff down at polls, very similar to Emma Howitt. I put a poll out last week about will service accommodation prices go up or down? And I said the same shit. What if I do that? And I'm meant to be an industry expert in my field, and nobody comments. So Emma, I felt the exact same. So luckily they did.
There you go. What we do need to say, though, is that we're planning for me to come up to Glasgow, aren't we?
Yes.
We'll
be a houseboat. I saw you doing amazing masterminds. I thought if you come up to Glasgow, all these trainings are always in London and down south, and you were at Bristol. To get experts to come up here to see us in Glasgow's hard. So we'll put it on at Pillow HQ. So guys, if you are interested, pop a little message. What's the minimum numbers we need for you to drag your carcass up to Glasgow?
Yeah, like I said, don't get out of bed for less than 10 So we'll be charging 997, so it'll be £1,000 a head, and it'll be a whole day. Scarlett's going to make us some amazing lunch, which will be fantastic. I'll be staying over in Glasgow, so we can do something social afterwards. But yeah, a whole day, LinkedIn strategy day for up to like 10 to 12 people. So I've got plenty of time to go around and see everyone individually. In the room, we're going to be doing your ideal client. We'll be creating you an offer. We'll be writing your headline, your profile, putting some content out, doing the engagement, and growing your audience. You're not allowed to leave the room until your LinkedIn shit is together. So it'll be a good day. It'll be a good day. So yeah, if you're interested in that, let me know. As long as we've got enough expressions of interest, I will get on the train and come up.
We will make that happen. One of our core values at Pillow, make it happen, and we'll definitely make that happen early in 2024. So Helen, thank you very much for all the audience. Thanks for the participation, and please help Helen grow her business. You know she will give back to you as well. So thank you for that amazing content, and we'll see you in person for the training in Glasgow soon, Helen. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
cheers, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.